Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? It is my honor to introduce our foundation chairman for 2024. This is my friend, Walter Manley. He has been the fundraising chairman for 26 of the last 30 years. My friend has been the heart and soul of this enterprise for 3 decades. You know something about him because of his good works, and since this is the 30th year, I wanted to tell you some things you may not know. He was offered a scholarship to play basketball at Stanford, but he decided to stay on the East Coast, where he attended Harvard and got a couple of business degrees from Harvard, was editor of the newspaper, got his law degree at Duke, where he was president of the student body and later served on the Duke Board of Trustees. He won 7 university awards for teaching excellence at Oxford University, Cambridge University, and Florida State, and was cited as the finest teacher in the College of Business for 2 decades. He was selected by the Highest Effort Foundation as the most outstanding educator in America, and he was a partner in the original owners group of the Orlando Magic NBA team, an accomplished lawyer, senior partner at 2 large statewide firms. He was awarded his circuit's President's Pro Bono Award, president of the Lakeland Bar Association, which was the most highly honored in Florida bar history during his presidency, including the ABA's national first place for Law Week activities. Walter has written 5 highly acclaimed books. He researched and wrote the 2 volumes of the Florida Supreme Court history, which academic journals call the finest Supreme Court history ever written, beautifully researched and written in the most outstanding legal and economic history of Florida, for which he is the subject of the only proclamation issued in the history of the Supreme Court of Florida titled A Proclamation in Praise and Appreciation of Walter Manley II. Chairman of 16 philanthropic organizations, usually governor appointed, including the Florida Endowment Foundation for Vocational Rehabilitation. He votes for 24 major college football, basketball, and baseball awards and several All-America teams. And finally, many-time chairman of the foundation, 26-time fundraising chairman, all years seating chairman, and he has personally written all of the articles in every banquet program. Would you please welcome on this 30th anniversary our chairman, Walter Manley. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Charlie. Trustees, honored guests, patrons, and scholarship recipients, thank you for your presence at the 30th Annual Biletnikoff Award Banquet and for your magnificent support of our distinguished award and our cherished charitable mission. After all, you are our critical factor of success. Because of you and your devotion, we have built a great college football award. It's a great pleasure to have Danny Werfel, Marvin Harrison Jr., and the Harrison family as honored guests. When my father was a combat-tested colonel in the Pacific War, and my Florida State graduate's mom and aunt attended Florida Law School shortly after the war, my father, thoroughly frustrated with the poor, very, very poor Gator football teams, I know that's going to hurt a lot of people in here, remarked that Florida would never win an SEC championship. Well, all 3 of them would have marveled at Danny's national championship juggernaut and his Heisman performance. Marvin, your play this season was brilliant and inspiring, and you earned the Biletnikoff Award among an always exceptional field of outstanding finalists from the deepest, most talented position in football. Now, trustees and patrons, we have some very welcome news. Please accept our appreciation for yet another record-breaking year in donated scholarship funds and in overall revenue, all of which enjoys a 100% pass-through to the scholarships. Now, our foundation's charitable mission is the provision of substantial merit scholarships to high school seniors in our 11-county region who have overcome significant challenges to achieve at the highest academic and extracurricular community service levels. Through this year, we will have awarded 310 college and 5 vocational scholarships with benefits of $5 million. This sum places us behind only the Heisman Trophy in terms of giving among college football awards. Tonight, we celebrate our 30th banquet. We've heard many speakers praise it, and ESPN broadcast it for many years. One essential success factor has been constant: the master of ceremonies, the force of nature known as Charlie Barnes. Charlie's confluence of remarkable intelligence and masterful management of our banquet has elevated it so as to make it a can't-miss event. Would you all join me in showing your appreciation of Charlie Barnes for 30 years of sustained excellence? Thank you very much, my friend. You're the man. You always have been. Finally, the trustees have asked that I congratulate our profoundly accomplished and courageous scholarship recipients. But in fairness, these remarks could be meaningful as well to everyone here. Scholars, we appreciate the significant challenges you have overcome, and we salute you. We are proud of your achievements and steadfastness. Perhaps you took inspiration from a religious text, a credo, or verse about facing adversity. Maybe even these compelling lines from the poem Invictus. Out of the night that covers me and my unconquerable soul, under the bludgeoning of chance, my head is bloody but unbowed. I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul. A certain P-47 Thunderbolt fighter pilot and an ace, Floridian, and winner of 3 distinguished flying crosses, taped that same verse to his instrument panel to calm his fear and steady his trembling hands before takeoff in World War II. And he was not ashamed to tell his family about it decades later. You see, no one is without fear, anxiety, or adversity. And it's how we face them that determine our fate. Scholars, your America was built into the greatest country ever known by people just like you. You overcame significant challenges as they did to achieve at the highest levels. Americans never give up. We're a striving people, and by far the most generous people to each other and others in the world according to the World Giving Index. Our forebears did not shy from adversity. Rather, they saw obstacles as opportunities to build, to achieve, and to prosper. They were given nothing, but they were overjoyed to be here by the grace of God. Many arrived or lived here before there was any government at all. America indeed was their evening star. And when you face the next seemingly insurmountable challenge, remember the story of another American, one born into the most extreme poverty. As a child, his penniless family was forced from their family home. As a young boy, a very young boy, he worked for wages merely to buy food for his family. 2 years after losing their family home, his beloved mother died. A few years afterwards, his small business failed. Then he lost an election for the legislature, and later that year lost his job. The next year, another of his businesses went bankrupt. 2 years later, his beloved fiancée died, and he was grief-stricken and severely depressed. He went on to lose 7 of his next 8 elections. Yet, after overcoming these and other challenges, in 1860, he was elected President of the United States, and he, Abraham Lincoln, became one of America's greatest, most essential leaders. Scholars, you will continue to be an inspiration to us all, as your splendid examples of courageous striving, indomitable will, never quitting, and finally achieving success reminds us of what it is to be an American and how fortunate we are as a people. May America always be your evening star. Thank you, and may God bless you all.
Most excellent. Thank you, Dr. Manley. Now, as always, we have any number of wonderful guests here this evening. First, let me say that we're especially grateful for the generosity of our banquet sponsors. They are Professor Walter Manley and Linda Benaire, Bill and Meg Heileman and Linda Heileman, and Roger Wicker. Thank you for being the sponsor tonight and bringing us this wonderful dinner. The Tallahassee Quarterback Club Foundation is the creator and sponsor of the Biletnikoff Award and the annual banquet. On behalf of Foundation Chairman Dr. Manley and our banquet co-chairman, trustees Craig Smith and Ed Canup, and all the foundation trustees, welcome to this always elegant and star-studded event here tonight. Tonight we will recognize and pay tribute to our scholarship winners, to the nation's top collegiate receivers, recognizing the 2023 Biletnikoff Award winner, Marvin Harrison Jr. of the Ohio State Buckeyes. There you go. The runners-up are Rome Odunze of the University of Washington Huskies and Malik Neighbors of the Louisiana State University Bengal Tigers. All of the officers and all of the trustees of the Quarterback Club Foundation are reproduced in your beautiful printed programs on page 7 and on the Foundation website, and their names also appear on the scrolls on your screens. Our scholarship recipients and benefactors appear on page 12. In 2024, a new trustee, Kelly Phillips, has been named to join the foundation. Congratulations, Kelly. And we'd like to recognize, yes, if you want to applaud that, I think that's appropriate. And we'd like to recognize 2 new honorary trustees, Dr. Walter Colon and Dr. Gary Roll and Katrina Roll. There you go. Dedication to the Foundation's charitable mission and outstanding community service are the basis for these selections. I would like to ask you to join me in first recognizing our life trustees and asking them to stand briefly. Would all the life trustees please stand? They're here somewhere. There you go. And now would our honorary trustees please stand? And finally, would all of our foundation trustees who bring you this wonderful event and this wonderful charitable organization please stand now and join me in thanking them for their important work with the foundation. Please stand. As always, there are a great many special guests tonight, including, you saw him come in, State Senator Corey Simon, consensus All-American defensive lineman, played for the Philadelphia Eagles for 6 seasons. You heard from Dr. Neil Dunn, United States Representative of the 2nd Congressional District. Dr. Dunn is a distinguished surgeon. Tonight, both Senator Simon and Dr. Dunn are seated with their host, Trustee Steve Wynn. Also seated at Steve Wynn's table is the 2023 High School Coach of the Year in Florida, Tyrone McGriff, head coach at Leon High School. Also welcome the Honorable Morris Young, Sheriff of Gadsden County. Welcome. Charlie Rockwood. We also welcome this evening retired FSU professional Dr. Charles Rockwood. Dr. Rockwood and Dr. Persis Rockwood donated $2.2 million to the College of Music to purchase a handmade pipe organ for Opperman Music Hall. And now, Professor Rockwood has established a $10 million professorship in the name of his late wife, Persis. The Rockwoods have always been very generous to the Tallahassee Quarterback Club Foundation. Thank you very much, Dr. Rockwood and your wife. You all know Marjorie Turnbull, former member of the Florida House of Representatives of the 9th District. She is also president of the Economic Club of Florida. Welcome, Marjorie. Former FSU vice president and member of the Athletics Hall of Fame, Pat Hogan, is with us tonight. Jerry Emig, associate athletic director for communications at Ohio State. After 3 decades, Emig is recognized nationally as the senior and most respected sports information and athletic communications professional among colleges and universities. Welcome. Last night, I was honored to sit with David Strong, all SEC at Vanderbilt as a wingback, former quarterback and wide receiver for Vanderbilt, 20 receiving touchdowns. Welcome, David. Tom Braswell, former executive director of the Werfel Foundation, and James Gadsby, current executive director of the Werfel Foundation. Retired circuit judge, the Honorable Terry Lewis, who Wikipedia tells us also notes that Judge Lewis writes legal thriller novels. I have not read one, but I will take your word for it. Judge Lewis. Kathy Gunter. I didn't see Kathy tonight. I don't know if she's here, but we love Kathy. She's an honorary foundation trustee. She and Bill Gunter are scholarship donors, and Kathy is a former national chairman of Seminole Boosters. Bill Gunter is a former United States congressman as well as Florida's treasurer and insurance commissioner. Kathy, if you're here, we love you and welcome. And the 3 amigos of Florida State football glory of the 1990s, Coach Mickey Andrews, Coach Billy Sexton, and Coach Jim Gladden are here with us tonight. We have wonderful support for our young Florida State student interns, and I'd like to recognize their mentor, FSU Professor Jason Pappas, head of the Sport Management Program. Our interns this year, and they have done a fantastic job. Drake Lilly and Charlie Stafford, you guys are first class. We thank the accounting firm of Sanders, Holloway, and Ryan. They receive and certify, there he is back there in the back. They receive and certify all the selections and the committee ballots. Your award-winning program was printed by Gandy Printers in Tallahassee and compiled and edited by Professor Walter Manley. I also want to thank Riles Lee again and always for his excellence in photography. Make a special note of the contribution to this production tonight of American Audiovisual, Austin Giles and Brendan McGlynn, and the Hotel Indigo, Nick's Toggery, of course, as well as designs by Darren for our beautiful floral designs and decorations, and our table purchasers may take these beautiful table arrangements with you tonight if you wish. And now, before I introduce our distinguished head table, please enjoy this feature on our Biletnikoff Award winner, Marvin Harrison Jr., as broadcast on ESPN Awards Night in December. And let me remind you that our silent auction closes at 8:30, so make your closing strategies now. Austin, let's see.
Welcome back to the College Football Award Show presented by Home Depot. In today's game, any star quarterback will tell you if they don't have playmakers who can catch, they won't have an explosive offense. The receiver position has never been more important. And when you watch the three finalists for the nation's top receiver, you understand why. Here are the nominees for the Biletnikoff Award.
Established in 1994, the Biletnikoff Award recognizes the nation's outstanding receiver at any position. It is named for the legendary Fred Biletnikoff, who redefined the position with his uncanny craft and sure hands. The award is presented by the Tallahassee Quarterback Club Foundation, which has provided many millions of dollars in scholarships to North Florida high school seniors who have overcome significant challenges to excel in academics and extracurricular activities. Here are the Biletnikoff Award finalists.
We like that! Everybody know who I am.
Neighbors comes up with it. Neighbors is unstoppable. Wide open is Neighbors.
Now draw the line, here comes a standoff.
One of the best in his position in college football. Outstanding touchdown catch. Are you kidding me?
Pat, I done took me a risk. Snap in the back of the Maybach.
O'Doomsay's got it. O'Doomsay. My goodness. When in doubt, dial up O'Doomsay. Touchdown, Rome O'Doomsay.
Three men with bright futures on Sundays who combined to score 44 total touchdowns this season. The winner of the Biletnikoff for the nation's top receiver is Marvin Harrison Jr., who joins Terry Glenn as the second Ohio State Buckeye to win the award. And there is Marvin looking fantastic. And Greg, no one had more than 100-yard games in Ohio State history than Harrison with 15. Why is he a quarterback's dream target?
Well, he has a ridiculous wingspan to be able to adjust and create plays in midair. Unbelievable vertical speed, too. All of his routes look the same. The first 15 yards, whether he's breaking in, breaking out, or going vertical, they all look the same. He's got great foot speed, too. For a guy that's 6'4", you don't often see a guy with that quick of feet to be able to create suddenness and separation against opposing defensive backs. He's outstanding in what I think is probably the deepest field of candidates for what is an outstanding award.
And when in trouble, find number 18 for much more. Jen Latta is standing by with Marvin Harrison Jr.
Marvin, congratulations on earning a spot in New York this weekend. This is a very stacked field, as is that field of candidates. What do you think set you apart at the wide receiver position this year?
First, I just want to give all praise and glory to God for putting me in this position. But I think just my completeness as a wide receiver and the value that I bring to my team.
Elite athletes like yourself are often their harshest critics. What are some areas that you'd like to see your game grow to play at the next level?
Everywhere. I wouldn't say I'm great in any one specific area of my game just yet, but I'm going to continue to work and hopefully become great in all areas of the game.
You know, I saw the internet all abuzz in the last few days, wondering if, in fact, we might see you back in a Buckeyes uniform. Have you made a decision about your future?
I have not made a decision yet about my future. I'm still talking to my family and see what's the best decision for me.
Buckeye fans will be keeping their fingers crossed that they can get another season of your brilliance. Congratulations on the Biletnikoff Award.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Kevin?
Jen.
We have an especially distinguished dais tonight at the head table. First is, of course, our 2023 Biletnikoff Award winner, Mr. Marvin Harrison Jr., who will be graduating from Ohio State University with a degree in finance. Young Marvin will be hosting an investment seminar immediately following the banquet this evening for those who may be interested. He is a two-time unanimous All-America and the most decorated wide receiver in Buckeye history. He is also the son of NFL Hall of Fame wide receiver Marvin Harrison Sr., who starred for 13 seasons with the Indianapolis Colts. Marvin, we are pleased. There you go. We're pleased to welcome you tonight and your family members who are our guests. Your mother, Dawn Avery, and Miss Cherokee Young, a sprinter who is in training now for the 2024 Paris Olympics. They're all seated at Scott Houston's table. Welcome. Welcome to your family. We are similarly honored to host our guest speaker, Danny Werfel, Heisman Trophy winner and Florida Gator football hero. He is a classic symbol for those who value integrity, sportsmanship, philanthropy, and the ideal of amateur college athletics. In his post-collegiate and NFL life, he is executive director of the Desire Street Ministries in New Orleans in partnership with the New Orleans Saints. Welcome to Tallahassee. Trustee Scott Houston is hosting the Harrison family, and Life Trustee and past Chairman Steve Wynn and Trustee Jason Brennan are hosting our guest speaker tonight, Danny Werfel. And Trustee and past Chairman Charles Hopkins host representatives of The Ohio State University. Let me announce again that the silent auction will close at 8:30. Make your closing bid strategies. Now, the complete history and criteria of the Biletnikoff Award appears in your programs. One of the most beautiful and thoroughly written in America, thanks to the composition by Chairman Manley. The Biletnikoff Award annually recognizes the college football season's outstanding football receiver. Any player, regardless of position, wide receiver, tight end, slot back, running back, who catches a pass is eligible for the award. As such, the Biletnikoff Award recognizes college football's outstanding receiver, not merely college football's outstanding wide receiver. The semifinalists, finalist, and award recipient are selected by a highly distinguished Biletnikoff Award Selection Committee, a group of 650 prominent college football journalists, commentators, announcers, former Biletnikoff Award winners, and other former receivers. The foundation trustees do not vote and never have voted. The Biletnikoff candidate eligibility and voter criteria, transparently explicit in details, are available for your view in the BiletnikoffAward.com criteria. On behalf of the Quarterback Club Foundation and Foundation Chairman Dr. Walter Manley, I am especially pleased and honored to introduce you to this year's 15 scholarship recipients. The Foundation's charitable mission is the provision of college and vocational scholarship to North Florida high school seniors who have overcome significant challenges and who have achieved at the highest academic and extracurricular levels. These scholarship awards are based on merit only. Participation in sports is not a requirement. The Foundation has provided, to date, 320 scholarships worth $5 million to high school seniors in our 11-county North Florida and Panhandle region. Here is a synopsis of each of our 15 recipients. All proceeds go to these scholars here tonight. And like them, every autographed item represents someone overcoming significant challenges through perseverance and dedication to achieve at an extremely high level. Each item represents one story of focus, effort, and success. What an inspiring story to give to yourself or to someone you care about. Now it's time to direct our attention to the Biletnikoff Award. Our two runners-up in the 2023 season are superior players and worthy of comparison to Fred Biletnikoff. Generations of football fans know that Fred was a consensus All-America receiver at Florida State, but not everyone knows that Fred played offense and defense. As a sophomore, he led the team in both receptions and in interceptions. In fact, his 99-yard pick-six touchdown interception against the Miami Hurricanes in 1963 stood as the record until Dion beat him by 1 yard with a 100-yard reception return in 1985. As a senior in 1984, Fred led the nation in both receiving yards and receiving touchdowns, unheard of in those days. He was inducted into the College Football Hall of Fame in 1991, 6 Pro Bowls, twice named first team All-Pro, and Super Bowl 11 Most Valuable Player. And the voters now look to the Biletnikoff nominees to populate their All-America teams. The Biletnikoff Award voters pick the All-America receivers in this country. There's no doubt about it. The quality of this year's 2 finalists is extraordinary. Rome Odunze of Washington's Huskies and Malik Neighbors of the LSU Bengal Tigers. Rome, a consensus first-team All-American wide receiver and first-team academic All-America. He led the Huskies with a school record 1,640 receiving yards and indeed led all football subdivision schools in total receiving yards. Started strong right out of high school as the Gatorade Football Player of the Year. Last season, an opposing safety hit him so hard that he broke a rib and punctured a lung. Rome continued to play and didn't bother to tell anybody until a year later. That's why the NFL analysts say Odunze doesn't like space and open routes. He prefers jump balls and what we call contested catches. He's projected to be a day 1 starter in the pros. Malik Neighbors, similar to Odunze at Washington, Malik Neighbors holds the all-time LSU record with over 3,000 yards in his 3-year career. Unanimous All-America, first-team All-SEC, 2023 Citrus Bowl MVP, led all football subdivision schools in receiving yards with more than 120 yards per game. And he was second nationally in total receiving yards. He went on a 10-day LSU study abroad program to Senegal and took 10 of his teammates with him. He is now LSU's all-time leading wide receiver. Pro scout Ian Cumming writes, Malik Neighbors delivered on the numbers with his play. He is one of the most exhilarating prospects in the 2024 NFL Draft. Neighbors grades out as top 10, blue chip prospect. He is my number 2 wide receiver behind Marvin Harrison Jr. We wish each of these young men all the best, and now let's take a quick look at our 2023 Biletnikoff Award runners-up in action.
Biletnikoff candidate and star wide receiver Rome Odunze. And Rome Odunze! How do you spell Biletnikoff? R-O-M-E! Odunze, he holds on while being draped by a duck. And Rome is burning early on this Saturday night. Rome Odunze is a grown man. What a catch by Rome Odunze. Snags it out of the night sky. Rome Odunze! Touchdown, Washington! Penix takes a shot. Man coverage for Odunze. Caught inside the 30. Rome Odunze climbed the ladder. Looking to throw. Lobs it up the left side for Odunze. Caught! Playing a Biletnikoff kind of game. For the Huskies, Penix going to bomb it down the left side to Odunze. He caught it! Coverage. Back shoulder. Caught! Rome Odunze. Touchdown, Washington. Wall blockers in front. Rome's going in. Touchdown. 2 arms up. Touchdown, Washington. He came, he saw, he conquered. Rome Odunze.
Ladies and gentlemen,
how good is number 8, though? I mean, my
can't
goodness,
forget
to
the
hit the
kid.
ball in the open field.
Leads the planet in receiving yards this year.
You just see the new LSU all-time receiving yards leader.
He would love to be able to leave here, mentioned in the same group as Jefferson, Chase, Odell Beckham Jr.
Number 1 in America in receiving yards per game. Daniels, plenty of time, loads, deep sideline. Oh, what a catch by Neighbors. But
It is caught for the touchdown. And Neighbors working his way
Gonna take a shot to the end zone, and Neighbors comes up with it. It's caught. Malik Neighbors, touchdown LSU. Touchdown Malik Neighbors, and the Tigers build their lead. He's got a man wide open, and you know who it is. Malik Neighbors is just lighting it up this morning. End zone, and it's caught. Neighbors, touchdown LSU. To the end zone, Watertown, Neighbors, touchdown LSU. Loads, going deep, man out there's Neighbors, he's got it. Touchdown LSU. And right into the arms of Malik Neighbors.
I wish I could dance like that. Ladies and gentlemen, it is now my honor to introduce our special guest speaker tonight, Mr. Danny Werfel, football All-American quarterback, two-time academic All-America, including an NCAA postgraduate scholarship, Heisman Trophy winner, National Collegiate Champion, College Football Hall of Fame, NFL professional, philanthropist, and namesake of the iconic Werfel Trophy, which recognizes annually the college football player who best exemplifies community service combined with athletic and academic achievement. At Florida in the 1990s, he passed for almost 11,000 yards with 114 touchdown passes, best in SEC history, and second overall historically among all collegiate quarterbacks. He led the Gators to 4 SEC titles on his way to the 1996 National Championship. In the space of just 1 week in 1996, Danny Werfel won the William V. Campbell Award as the nation's top scholar athlete, the Maxwell Player of the Year Award, the Davey O'Brien Award for the nation's top quarterback, the Walter Camp Award for the nation's most outstanding player, the Honda Scholar Athlete Award, and the Johnny Unitas Golden Arm Award presented to the nation's top quarterback who best exemplifies character. He was named the top Gator Offensive Player of the Century and spent 6 years in the NFL across 4 teams. Wow. Wow. All of this. He's so pure and so perfect. All of this made me want to go dig up some dirt on the guy. Like political opposition research. So I went online, I bought his book, Tales from the Gator Swamp by Danny Werfel, 2006. I had hoped that this would be a scandal-filled tell-all expose. Disappointingly, it is none of the kind. In fact, I thoroughly enjoyed reading it, and you Gators, and I know y'all are here somewhere. I know you're here tonight. You should go on Amazon and buy a copy of this for yourselves. Trust me, if you love the Gators, I promise you you'll be entertained. Now, Danny does make a couple of snarky comments, snarky by Werfel standards. For instance, Georgia beat the pants off Georgia in those years. Florida beat the pants off Georgia in those years. The outcomes were so one-sided that Danny refers to the battle between the hedges in Athens as the battle between the bushes. He also says that the Gators often got a good chuckle is the word he used, chuckle out of the fact that FSU was a girls' school at one time. Well, now, Danny, it is true that FSU was once a distinguished women's university, and that for more than 100 years, the majority of our students have been beautiful, intelligent women. Danny, how else do you think we were able to recruit blue-chip running back Burt Reynolds to come to Florida State? Early in the book, Danny talks about recruiting and why he chose Florida over FSU. He says, Florida had a stable of talented young quarterbacks, and he felt he could learn a great deal from them and their coach. FSU, he said, only had some basketball player named Charlie Ward who played quarterback sometimes. I will give our guest credit for acknowledging the 1994 game in Tallahassee by the name we know it, the choke at Doak. But 2 years later, 1996, Wuerffel's triumphant senior season, the resounding rematch victory over Florida State, earned the Gators their national championship. Let me make this clear. The Gators won that 1996 title on the square. Heads up. Danny Wuerffel and his team played magnificently in the Sugar Bowl and proved themselves to be not just the best in the country, but possibly the greatest Gator football team of all time. Yeah! Did you buy a ticket or what? No, that's all right. It's all right. Be true to your school. I've never heard the Gators express anything but admiration for the integrity and gentlemanly grace of Charlie Ward. I've never heard any Seminole impugn or diminish the character, honor, and moral strength of Danny Wuerffel. Fans recognize him as the very best representative of all that is good about college sports. He is an extraordinary human being, and he is the ideal guest speaker for our 30th anniversary Biletnikoff Award banquet. Please join me in welcoming Danny Wuerffel.
Wow, that was some introduction. Some of it true, but quite amazing. It would be quite customary and common for a keynote speaker such as myself at an event such as this to immediately begin by thanking the group that's hosting me, in this case, the Tallahassee Quarterback Club Foundation. But tonight I want to do something different. I need to, again, thank all the Gators who came out here tonight to be here with the support, because I was nervous. I was consciously nervous. That's where you can know things in your mind. I was thinking I'm going into Tallahassee. But then as I began to walk into the stadium, which I've not been back to since the 1996 game here, my body felt this nervousness. I started feeling some soreness that's still there. And somebody said, "Are you sure you're going to go there? You may have some trouble." And I said, "Well, you know what? At least when it really mattered in the Sugar Bowl, we didn't have any trouble with them. So we're good." There's my snarky comment for the night. But it is great to be here. Thank you to the foundation for having me. Really, congratulations to the Scholarship Award winners. That was truly inspiring for me. I think most of the people that I know in life that I have the highest admiration for, if you look into their life story, they've been through something really difficult. And you guys at such a young age have already been there, and I look forward to hopefully hearing more about your lives, but congratulations. And then also congratulations to Marvin Harrison Jr. It's been great to get to know him, and you've seen his exploits on the field. You'll see more of those in a minute. But you can really get to know somebody if you're about 2 feet away from them and watch them for about 95 minutes take 350 pictures with 2 flashes that look like electric lightning in your eyes, and see him smile all the way through and be polite to everybody. So thank you for being a nice young man. In this day and age with NIL, you never know who you're going to get in life and on a football field, but I think there's a true amazing player and a fine young man. So very nice to meet you, and thank you. You know, I almost came to Tallahassee. My older sister was a Seminole. My best friend in 9th grade, he was a big Gator fan, and I was more of a Seminole fan. And so to tease him in the yearbook, you know how you like sign each other's yearbooks? I drew a picture of a Seminole stabbing a Gator. which I'm very ashamed of. He holds that with great, he's got that over me, so I'm always nice to him. But I didn't know, and then I met Coach Bowden and was so impressed with who he was, what he stood for, how he lived his life, that I did almost come here. But it was the chance to play for Coach Spurrier and to attend the University of Florida that in the end won me over. I'll never forget one of my first times playing for Steve Spurrier. I was back to pass, and the receiver was running a corner route. It was a very precise pattern the way we did it. I had my head in the right position. I turned and threw the ball to the exact spot where I thought he was supposed to go. But at least in my opinion, he cut his route flat. You know, we're kind of going for a little bit steeper corner, and then he cut flat. So the ball went over his head, and the safety intercepted it. So this is one of those where I was wondering what he would think because, you know, he played quarterback, he knew the position, and did he see that maybe it was the receiver's fault or somebody was getting in trouble? You just knew that. You might have the visor going down. So I get to the sideline, and at first I was comforted because he said, "Oh, Danny, don't worry, it's not your fault." I said, "Whew." He goes, "It's my fault for putting you in the game. You're out." So that was that. But fortunately, there weren't too many interceptions. There were more touchdowns, and you know, when I think of my college career, as even you reflected on some of those stats and the awards, I have to pinch myself because I really can't believe it all happened that way. And to come here and be number one in the last game of the regular season of your senior year, and to get crushed, to lose a game, to lose really any hope of winning a national title at that point. Like, we dropped from number 1 to number 5 or 6. But then all these weird things happened. Nebraska lost to Texas. We beat Alabama the next week. Ohio State, thank you, beat Arizona State, who was undefeated. And all of a sudden, it was just us playing Florida State again, and we got our chance. And so, like, if I were writing like a novel of a fun college movie, football movie, and I wrote out my life, people wouldn't want to, it's like, that's too good. No one would believe it. I just am so grateful. I was drafted after that to go play in New Orleans. And trivia question, who knows who was the coach in New Orleans my rookie year? Ditka. Yeah, most people think of Ditka in Chicago. But no, he was in New Orleans for 3 years. You don't remember that because we didn't really do anything much worth remembering. One of the memorable moments, and unfortunately for me, the most known highlight from my NFL career was actually a quite scary moment. I was back to pass, was looking to my right, and what I didn't notice was the defensive end on my left broke around the tackle and was coming clean. You know, now sometimes if they get too fast through there, they'll stop the play. They'll be like, unabated, don't hit the guy. You can't touch the quarterback, don't hit him. But back then, they used to hit the crap out of the quarterback. Is Mickey Andrews still here? Anyway, we'll talk more about that later. He came around, and it just so happened that as I turned my head to look for my second and then third receiver, was the same moment that this guy dove head first, and the crown of his helmet hit me right in the temple. We spun around, and somehow he fell off, and I stood up for a moment, but I couldn't see anything. It was pitch black. I remember blinking my eyes thinking, this is pretty scary, but before I could see anything, someone else hit me and I was tackled. I was on the ground. I took a deep breath and thought, whew, I'm glad this is over. I opened my eyes and still pitch black. Well, what had happened was when he hit me and when he spun off, somehow our helmets stuck together and my helmet spun all the way around my head to where my helmet was on backwards. Which is funny now, thank you for laughing. But at the time, I thought I was blind. And then I started thinking maybe I had died. And then I thought, why don't I see Jesus? Like, it was a really scary moment for me. One of the linemen said, well, if you thought you had died, did you see a light? I said, you know what, actually I did. But normally when you think of a light, it's like you're going towards it. But I saw this light moving. And he said, that was just your ear hole passing by your eyes. And that was my welcome to the NFL moment. So it became pretty clear to me that I was not drafted to New Orleans to be the first guy to help win the city's first Super Bowl That came later with a young man named Drew Brees. We were part of the foundation builders, the guys that did the hard work to pave the way. But I believe it was part of the plan for God to have me in New Orleans. I began volunteering at a local ministry in one of the worst neighborhoods in the country, Desire Street Ministries. Began working there after I retired. I began working there actually, not just volunteering, but working. Became the director in 2005. And now Desire Street's headquarters are in Atlanta, and we're working in under-resourced neighborhoods all over the country. So you can check that out, desirestreet.org. And then also through the years, we've been able to start the Werfel Foundation and the Werfel Trophy, an award for community service that we're really excited about. And I think I already introduced, but James and Elizabeth Gadsby are here. They're like the heroes of Desire Street and the Werfel Trophy, as well as Tom Brissell, our original executive director. When you're the quarterback, you always get all the credit when things go right. And when you're the guy, sometimes everybody says all these things, but these are the people that are doing the real great work. So I just want to thank James, Elizabeth, and Tom. So the few things I'm going to share, I'm going to share a few points of something that I read originally in a book that has really come to shape a lot of how I think, and then close with a story, and then we'll move on and present this trophy to Marvin. So there was this interesting book that I read. It was written by a Catholic priest named Richard Rohr. The name of the book, I think, was Adam's Return, but it was a very interesting premise. He went and studied many cultures and many religions to see how over centuries they would initiate their young boys into men. And one of the things he found was that in every culture for many years, really up until recently, there were some very specific initiation rites of passage that you would go to. Some very formalized, some in certain places maybe more barbaric than others, but there was this process where before you went through it, you were a boy, and after you went through it, you were a man. And you knew the difference, and you knew you had to act in each role, and it was very interesting. So his first point was very unique that, we don't do that much anymore. And so we have a lot of us older looking men that are really just sort of underdeveloped boys half the time. Don't laugh, ladies. But sometimes I think that's the case. But what he found was there were 5 things that across different cultures and different religions even that were present in these rites of passage that he felt was so powerful. And I want to just kind of talk through each of those 5 real quickly. But as I do it, I also want to reflect that I think as an athlete, and in particular the sport of football, I think forces you in many ways to deal with some of these things. And so I think for many of us, the coaches that we had, the experiences that we had in athletics, and in particular, for my case, in many football, really helped develop us not just to be competitors and not just to be throwers and tacklers, but to be men. To be men that want to live and serve and love in great ways. And so the first one that he found in every different culture that I think you'll find on most good football teams is it's a little idea that I first heard from my dad. He used to say this all the time, and I hated it. Especially when he'd say it when things didn't go my way and I would start to complain. You always have a real reason to complain if you're the one complaining. But he would say these 3 words, and I hated it. He'd say, well, Danny, life is tough. Life is tough. Well, duh, but you know what? I hated it then, and I hate it now, and I think we want to figure out a way, the right, whatever it is, scheme, diet, job, success, whatever it is we're grasping, to try to reach some place where life isn't tough. But the reality, it is. We have a lot of young people that, as we've already mentioned, experience that early. Sometimes we do stupid things. And, I didn't bare my soul of all my sins in that book, but there are plenty. And we bring suffering on ourselves. But also just for being human, there's a cost, it seems like. And we get older and our bodies don't work. And people we love, we lose. And there's health. And there's so many things beyond our control that make life tough. And if you think it's going to be easy, you're really in for a rude awakening. But life is tough. Football helped teach me that and helped me prepare to be ready for tough life. Number 2, I've got 3 children, 2 boys and a daughter, sons at University of Florida and 2 in high school. And when the boys were little, they loved Legos. So they play with Legos all the time. So they collected Legos at every birthday and Christmas. So you could imagine over a few years, we ended up with a lot of Legos. Well, you think if you had 2 children in a room with thousands of toys, there would be plenty enough to share. Yeah, you're already laughing because you know what happens. Every time, eventually, they fight over one stinking little bitty Lego, and it sounds like this. Oh, well, that one's mine. And the other one says, no, that one's mine. No, that one's mine. That was mine. And it was funny. We laughed when they were 2 and 4 years old, but you know, it wasn't as funny when they're 10 and 8 or when they were 18 and 16 and actually got in a fight at the dinner table. Or about when they're 40 or 60 or 80, and we may not scream mine over a Lego. But if you look at the way we live our lives, the way we spend our time, the way we spend our money, the way we use our talents, it's usually focused around me. Mine, me, me. And one of the most important things that they used to teach young people that I think I learned in football, and I think one of the keys to living a real significant life is number 2, your life is not about you. If you want to be like some hero, main character in the story, you're going to live a very boring, small, just not a great life. But if you realize you can be a supporting actor or a minor character, you get to be a part of a bigger, beautiful, amazing, intricate story. And so life is not about you, number 2. Number 3, I was in New York. It's very similar to this, the Heisman Trophy ceremony. You were there. A lot of people, including autograph seekers, because you can get 25, 30 Heisman autographs on one item. Well, unfortunately, it brings the people that want to get your autograph and sell it. So there's this kind of game between all these people that are trying to get your autograph to sell it. But then there's also like some kids that come up that just want your autograph. So you're trying to figure it out. Well, they got smart. They started hiring the kids to get your autograph to go sell it. So now it's getting really tricky. So you got to be sophisticated at this game. We'll talk about it later because you don't want to get to... So I was at the Heisman, something like this. Imagine I went out to the restroom and this kid walked into the bathroom with a little Gator mini helmet. He stayed by the door, which was polite, I guess. As I was leaving, I got out my Sharpie and I got the helmet, and here's the trick. I said, who do you want me to make this out to? Because if he doesn't give me a name, he's probably selling it. This won't work for you because they can erase Sharpies now. Sorry. But back then, I thought I had a trick. He froze, which meant I caught him. And he's not going to steal my name, image, and likeness. I don't even like saying that. I get a little irritated right now. Name, image, and likeness to make money off of me. So I said, if you don't tell me your name, I'm not going to sign it. He said, excuse me, sir, I really don't want to be rude. I have no idea who you are. I just saw that you were in that room where Tim Tebow was, and I was going to see if you take my helmet in there and have Tim Tebow sign it. Somebody asked me, did I do it? No. Not that humble yet. Maybe one day I'll be that gracious, but no. Number 3, you're not that important. You think you're important, you're not. I was in the airport in Atlanta. I stopped to get my shoes shined. I was going somewhere, and this guy was just a really neat guy, this older guy. He was shining my shoes, and I didn't know if he was a football fan. I wondered. I didn't want to be cocky because, I've got this reputation of being humble, so I've got to at least pretend sometimes. So I said, have you ever shined the shoes of any celebrities? So it was a little bit of a feel them out type of thing. If the podium wasn't here, I'd get down on my knee and I would show you how this guy responded. He froze, and he looked up, and I almost said it again. Thankfully I didn't. He said, son, in my world there are no celebrities. If anybody thinks they're up on a pedestal, it's because they put themselves up there, and it really doesn't mean much to me. Bam! If there was a hall of fame for humility or one in heaven, he would be there far before I would. We spend so much time and energy trying to convince ourselves in the world how important we are. We have the way we dress, we have the way we act, we have all our, the numbers behind our name or the letters or whatever it is that we want to do to impress people. And the reality is, none of that stuff makes you more important than anybody else. Doesn't matter where you were born, doesn't matter what zip code or what country. Every single person on this planet is created in God's image and has value and matters. And quite frankly, we often really screw that up for a lot of different reasons, but it really means a lot to me in the work that we do, that whether we're in an event like this, in this beautiful tuxedo, or a few miles down the street, sitting on a bench or even under a bench trying to hide from the rain because you don't have a place to go, everybody is as important as anybody else. That was number 3. Number 4, you're not in control. You can do a lot of things, man. You can run the perfect route. You can give that last move. You can come out for the winning touchdown, but if the left tackle didn't make his block, you're not getting the pass. Like, there's so many things about football that you can't control. You do as much as you can, and the more of those things you do well, of course it helps, but so much is out of our control. And I really think we're all control freaks. I think we're all, if I think about who you think of being a control freak, please don't point. But you got someone in mind, maybe someone sitting next to you, and this is usually the person that's more aggressive in their controlling. But you know what? Even those of us that aren't like that, we try to control things. I don't try to be manipulate people. I try to nice you into doing what I want. I try to be friendly. Sarah was awesome, who was waiting on our table, and I got a little extra food. I realized was I really nice to her? I just want some more food. We're all trying to be control freaks, and recognizing that you're not in control is one of the most difficult things to do. I love the serenity prayer. Many of us know that. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot control, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. I pray we all continue to wrestle with that. The last one was a little bit morbid. Everything comes to an end, and everything and every person eventually is going to die. And one of the most difficult things about football is, when you're playing, you never think it's going to end, but it always does. Every team you're on, they're still going to keep going when you're gone. And recognizing that everything has to come to an end at some point is a really difficult thing to wrestle through. But again, forcing, I think of a lot of my high school teammates, some of it ends in high school, some of us end in college, some of us get to play some in college, but at some point it all comes to an end, and recognizing and dealing with loss is very important. So those were the 5 things that stick with me. I think that I learned a lot through football. Life is tough. It's not about you. You're not that important. You're not in control, and everything ultimately comes to an end. And so I want to tell one last story, and then we'll get on with the exciting presentation. So another trivia question. 1995, where did the University of Florida play Georgia?
Georgia.
Yeah, most people would shout out Jacksonville because that's usually where we play. But you're not playing around. This guy here, man. I'm going to bring you with me to all the different speeches because I could be talking anywhere. I mean, if you can talk to the Tallahassee Quarterback Club Foundation, and you got a guy make you feel comfortable as a Gator, we can go anywhere with this talk. You and me, buddy. So we played at Georgia. It was a huge game. Go out for pregame, and I was never really great in pregame, but this pregame I was off. I was not throwing well. Coach Spurrier and his very comforting, pastoral, encouraging voice said, "Danny, what's wrong with you today? Do I need to tell Eric to get loose?" He's the backup. I'm like, "Oh, thanks." So I thought, what did he teach me? What am I doing wrong? Rotate your shoulders, get your elbow up high. It didn't work. I thought, what did my high school coach teach me? What did my dad, I remember throwing with my mom when I was in 4th grade. What did she say? Maybe that'll help. And nothing helped. Pre-game's over. I got on my knees. I said, "God, I need your help. I can't even throw this ball today. It's in my head. I'm nervous. Anything good that happens will be, I know, not just because of me." So I go out, first drive, somebody breaks through, and we had a clear out post with a corner and a flat. I wasn't supposed to throw the post at all, but I thought for the last second there was no one there, so I threw it as I got hit, and then I realized I threw it right to the Georgia safety. But I don't know what happened, if he missed it or what, but our receiver, Ike Hilliard, ends up in the end zone with the ball for a touchdown. So, wow, this is pretty good. A few years later, the next quarter, I'm back. We're on about the 15-yard line, and this guy comes around, breaks contain. So I took off to my right. I was running. He was catching me. That's how that usually worked. You don't know how that feels, but it can happen. So I'm running. He's about to catch me. And in 1995 in college football, the safest place to throw the ball away without getting a penalty was out the back of the end zone. So I did what I was coached to do. Coach always said, he goes, yeah, Danny, he's not really talented. He's just highly coachable, which I don't know if that was a compliment to me or him. But anyway, so I try to throw it out the back of the end zone, like up to my mom somewhere, but the guy hits me before I throw it. So instead of it going clean through, it goes right in the middle of the field into a sea of red defenders. I get knocked over. I get up trying to think I'm going to have to make a tackle, and I think I'm going to have to go talk to coach on the sideline, which is bad. But instead, Chris Doring, our receiver, was in the end zone with the touchdown, and I didn't know Chris was even in on the play. So I'm going to the sideline, and I get there, and Coach Spurrier says, Danny, he goes, first of all, that was an amazing throw. You threw that ball where only Chris could get his hands on it. Like nobody, like it was super accurate. He goes, but I've seen you make accurate throws. Well, my question is, you were running to your right, and Chris took off to his left. How did you see him? Like, he was behind you, and you didn't even look, and you spun and threw it. How did you see him? And because you described me as a young man with high integrity, I just said, Coach, you taught me to have peripheral vision. You taught me to see the field. It took me about 20 years before I ever told him I had no idea. It went on, check this out, it went on to be the best football game I ever played. We scored 52 points between the bushes. We can all make fun of Georgia here, right? Well, there's a few Bulldog fans somewhere, sorry. But scored 52 points, and statistically, it was better than any game I ever played at any level. And there's just one. Chris Doring ran a route. When he saw I was scrambling, he did what he was supposed to do to get back towards me to be in the right spot. He was a good teammate. You need good teammates in life. We all need good teammates, and we need to be good teammates. Football taught us that. Number two, Coach Spurrier told me to throw it out the back of the end zone. He coached me through that play. He was the coach of the coaches. His coaching me changed the trajectory of my life. We all need coaches in our life. Find someone farther along in their journey that can pour into you. Seek that. And even if you're old and bald like me, or older, there's some people here older than me, we still need somebody pouring into us. And as you get older, part of giving your life away is making time to be available to share with others your experiences in life. Get coaching, be a good coach. Football taught me that. And lastly, I just believe, this is personal, this isn't endorsed by any group here, but I do think that there is a time where you have to be on your knees and say, God, I cannot do this on my own. I need you in my life. So thank you all. God bless. And go Gators!
You're getting some standing ovation. Well deserved, well deserved. It's now my honor to introduce our 2023 Biletnikoff winner tonight, Mr. Marvin Harrison, Jr. of The Ohio State University. You've already seen some... Don't know what this is, but I don't have it anymore. You've already seen some spectacular film on Mr. Harrison. You'll see more in just a minute. You heard me mention that his father played for Syracuse University. Young Marvin chose Ohio State over bids from Florida, Michigan, Penn State, LSU, Notre Dame, and Texas A&M. His first career start came in dramatic fashion as a freshman in the Rose Bowl, where he's caught 3 touchdown passes. Never slowed down again. two-time unanimous All-America, two-time first team All Big Ten, two-time winner of the Rutger Howard Receiver of the Year, Chicago Tribune Silver Football Award, Graham George 2023 Offensive Player of the Year. He was the Biletnikoff runner-up last year, and this year he was a finalist for the Heisman Trophy, which is even more impressive in light of the fact that only 4 wide receivers have ever won the Heisman in the 88-year history of the award. Marvin's father coached him, and now he has a younger brother named Jet, who may already be the nation's top 8th grade wide receiver. I'm not making that up. And I understand Marvin is actively recruiting him to become a Buckeye. In 3 full seasons playing for the Buckeyes, he was just 5 short of 2,500 receiving yards and 31 touchdowns. And like our guest speaker today, Marvin Harrison Jr. is also a committed Christian and philanthropist, partnering with the Ronald McDonald House of Central Ohio. He is the most decorated wide receiver in the 133-year history of Ohio State Buckeye football. Now let's observe our incredibly talented 2023 Biletnikoff Award winner in action.
Hard work, perseverance, diligence. The most outstanding player in college football. This is what it means to be the Heisman. Hard work. Hard work is putting forth the effort to become great mentally, physically, and emotionally while maintaining high standards and intensity. Marvin embodies hard work. Perseverance. Perseverance is being determined. The effort required to achieve something even if it's hard. Achieving success despite the difficulty standing in one's way. Marvin is perseverance. Diligence. Diligence is doing what is required and necessary, being persistent in all that you do. To be the best, it requires working like the best. Marvin embodies diligence. The most outstanding player in college football? Outstanding, you say? Well, how about this?
Marvelous! Marvin Harrison caught! Harrison and Marvin Harrison Jr. down the sideline. Maserati Mar. Open Harrison! Marvin Harrison Jr. Touchdown Ohio State.
Deep down the middle. Harrison's got it. It's his world. We're living in it one-on-one. He's got it. A one-man wrecking crew.
Marvin is the most outstanding player in college football.
Now, I would like to invite Mr. Manley and Chairman Manley, Danny Werfel, Marvin Harrison Jr. to come down to the front stage where we will make the presentation. As our celebrities are making their way to the lower stage, let me ask all of our trustees to be prepared to accept your generous pledges of support. Those not seated at a table with a trustee, please give your pledge card to any trustee. The trustees, raise your hands so people know who you are, please. And Austin, I'm not going to use that thing that's in my jacket. I'm going to use these mics here. All right. No, you're good. You're good. Stay there. I'm only an employee. I just stand there. Stay there. Walter Mann.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, congratulations to the foundation on yet another great fundraising year to fund these scholarships. Professor, this is your 26th out of 30 year of being the fundraising chairman.
Well, thank you. Do you want to do it next year?
Congratulate your trustees.
Well, I'd love to. And I'd like to say something about our trustees because, this has been a long journey, 30 years, and our trustees mean everything to us because we're an all-volunteer organization, the only one in college football awards, and we depend on our trustees. And I know that we've had some that have been with us for 30 years, Tom Cox, Mike Mattamore, Bob Teal, Rocky Beavis, Jeff Wallen, and it's been a wonderful experience. And then new trustees, new men and women have come in, and they're all very, very talented people. And people make an organization, but you have to find a way to integrate people. And I'm reminded of Coach K's analogy of the fist, where all the trustees are fingers. They have talents, they have desires, but when you show people that the mission needs to be accomplished, when you have people that pursue excellence, it's very easy to make those individual fingers turn into a fist. And you can do a lot more with a fist than you can do with an individual finger. And we are the fist.
Thank you. Thank you. You know, this year, the thing that struck me was that we have two men here who have very, very strong fathers in their lives. And the story you told in your book that I loved was the story about the national championship game where your father saw you doing some things that he felt needed adjusting. And so he worked his way down on the sidelines, and nobody knew who he was, but because of his carriage and the way he was, everybody assumed he was a Florida coach. And so he came up to you, as you tell it, and started telling you what you were doing wrong and helping you find your way during the national championship game. And Marvin, your dad coaches you, or did coach you, which has got to be interesting since he played 14 years in the pros. So I assume he's able to point out things that you're doing wrong and help you with that. This business of the strong dad, I love that story about your dad on the sidelines.
Yeah, we're in the middle of this game, and apparently they had brought him on the field to do an interview. I didn't know that. So I'm, locked in on the sideline, and someone starts tapping me on the shoulder saying, I don't think your hands are right for getting the shotgun. I'm like, who is, Dad? What are you doing here? You can't do that. And I said, Dad, you're not supposed to be here. And then he said, life is tough. No, he didn't say that. But anyway.
Yeah, well, my dad's definitely never came to me in the middle of a game, thankfully. He usually waits till the end of the game. I get all my critique there, but it's been great. Because what's better to learn from than someone who's been in your position and exceeded at the high level like that. So I'm super thankful for him.
Thanks. Again, in Danny Werfel's book, no, this is good. He talks about as opposed to, he talks about what it's like to run through the tunnel and out onto the field. And it's very lyrical. He says, to run out onto the field into the Gator Swamp before a big game. He said, it was like entering another world. You become awash with color and noise. Marvin, the football stadium at Ohio State is over 100 years old. What was it like to run out into the horseshoe for a big game?
Yeah, it was really a dream. I think the horseshoe holds over 100,000 people in there, so every Saturday you look forward to playing in front of those fans. They support you each and every week. So it was really great and really a dream for me to be out there and perform at a high level in front of them.
Thank you. Danny, if I could bother you for a second. Something in your book kind of caught my attention.
I'm glad I wrote that book.
I was looking to find something. I don't know. It said you missed your calling in another life. You wanted to be a fighter pilot. What's that all about? You want me to read it to you? Is it?
My dad was in the Air Force, and right after my senior year, I got a chance to fly an F-16, which was an incredible experience. And then a few years later, I got to fly an F-15. And so just the experience of it. And then when Top Gun came back out, it's like every little kid was like, oh, yeah, I want to be a fighter pilot. Can I sign up? They're like, no, you're too old and you can't see.
I think this is very illustrative of life in the Southeastern Conference. I understand that after the 1994 SEC championship game, you got a nasty letter from an Alabama fan accusing you of being unchristian for using a trick play to defeat the Crimson Tide. Do you remember that?
That sounded like an unhappy Alabama fan at the time. Yeah, they didn't like we faked a little something, and they're like, you shouldn't be deceptive. I'm like, that's kind of what we do. Sorry.
Marvin, you got any idea where you might like to play in the pros? You'll be a first-round draft pick. You have any? Is that not the question to ask? Is it or not? All right. Well, we'll move on. Was there one game in your career at the Ohio State University? Is there one game that stood out among all the others that you enjoyed the most? Like you talked about that one game against Georgia that you liked.
Yeah, I would say the game that you had mentioned, that Rose Bowl my freshman year. It's my first career start. And I always got to play behind some great players, Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave. Kind of got to sat behind them and learn from them throughout the whole season. And then once my time came for Rose Bowl, I kind of did my thing. So super proud of myself for that. And I just also wanted to give thanks to my mom, my girlfriend for being here today, and Jerry as well, for just all the support throughout the years as well. So I thank you and appreciate you guys.
You said that Coach Spurrier came to you after you graduated and said, Danny, even if you go off and play pro ball, you will never, ever experience the joy that you did in college football. Is that true, and is that some experience you can offer to Marvin now?
Well, part of that is we didn't ever win in the NFL, so it's not as fun. Winning is fun, more fun, that's for sure. There's something unique about college football that I think I definitely missed, and I think that you will miss for sure. But what I remember of all the teams I was on, from high school even through the NFL, is the people, the relationships that I made. And, some of my best friends were people that I met on an NFL roster. So, maybe your best friend you've met in your life you haven't met yet. And so that could still be out there. College football is really unique, but relationships matter.
Thank you. I really think this is one of the best Biletnikoff Award banquets we've ever had, and you two are really outstanding. And you've given a very great show tonight. Professor Manley, you were instrumental in establishing this award 30 years ago. From day 7, you have been the heart, soul, and leader of the organization. You took on the banquet by yourself when nobody thought it would work. Do you have any one single compelling memory across those 30 years? And would you share that with us?
Well,
I have a collective memory experience, and then I have a singular experience. The collective experience is listening to you, Charlie, make such compelling introductions of these kids over the last 30 years. That's a lot of introductions. But one thing it does for everybody in this room, I know it does for me and the trustees, is it reinforces the mission that we do. Actually, it reinforces the mission that we must do. And the singular experience was when Dick Vermeil was a keynote speaker. And of course, Vermeil is one of the greatest coaches ever because, like Lou Holtz, who took over, I think, 6 teams that were mediocre and made champions out of them. It's unheard of, starting at William and Mary, NC State, Arkansas, Minnesota, Notre Dame, South Carolina. Vermeil was a great man, is a great man. And you just finished an introduction of a young lady who was actually fighting for her life. She was right down there. And Dick Vermeil got up from the dais, walked over to her, leaned his head down and spoke to her for about 15 or 20 seconds, and walked past me on the way back, handed me an envelope. There was a wonderful note in that envelope. We still have that note. And the other thing in that envelope was the largest single contribution ever made to this foundation. And I remember that, but all of it is based on one thing, Charlie. You and your sparkling, wonderful introductions and bringing these young people's lives to us so we can see what they've been through. And I think it gives us all a great deal of courage to know that we can fight adversity. These are young kids. They have no experience in life to speak of. They're not mature, most of them. And yet we're stronger, we're better educated, we have more resiliency. But to see them with their resiliency is absolutely mind-boggling to me. So that would be it, but it emanates from your wonderful introductions and the wonderful kids that we have. That we give them
Great kids. Great kids. Chairman, would you present the award now, please? Yes.
The Biletnikoff Award?
The Biletnikoff Award, yes, yes.
Give the man his trophy.
It's Saturday,
Have
so
you
it
been
must be
working
him.
out lately? Okay, all right, okay. It's 56 pounds.
Whoa.
You know, the Biletnikoff Award is a very difficult award to win. The vote is always extremely close. We always have 3 great finalists. Our voters pick the first team All-America team every year. 2 consensus, 2 unanimous, 1 consensus. We have a great voting committee, but this is the deepest position with talent in college football. There's nothing close to this. And we choose the outstanding receiver, regardless of position, for each season. On behalf of the Tallahassee Quarterback Club Foundation trustees and our distinguished 600-member National Selection Committee, it gives me great pleasure and delight to present the 2023 Biletnikoff Award to the finest receiver in college football last season. Congratulations, Marvin. That's all.
Ladies and gentlemen, that does conclude our program for this evening. Please check to see of your silent auction items. And remember that... What happened?
I almost got him to do the gator shot.
Good night, and thank you so much for your support.